Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the prospect of legalization of casinos in Thailand and why it's looking like that's pretty unlikely under current prevailing circumstances. I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, Anti-Phua Thai Group to Gather at Victory Monument. And understand, this article, as I'm reading it, this gathering has already occurred, and Bangkok Post reported on it. I urge those who are watching this video, check out this article as well as the Bangkok Post if you want to read about that demonstration. Quoting directly, the united power of the land to protect sovereignty and its supporters will gather again at Victory Monument in Bangkok on Sunday to oppose the Phua Thai party leading the formation of a new government. One of the group leaders, former red shirt stalwart Jatuporn Prompan, said the departure of Ms. Paetongtarn was not a victory for the group and its supporters, but merely a change of face. Pichit Chaimongkorn, another core leader of the protest group, said that as long as Phua Thai persists in attempts to form a new government, the group would affirm its opposition. He called on the public to gather at Victory Monument on Sunday from noon onwards. And then they get the 6 key demands from the demonstrators are, and I urge those again watching this video, go read that article in detail. I'm just going to get to one of the key demands here. Quote, withdrawal of the draft Integrated Entertainment Business Act, also known as the Entertainment Complex Bill, which would legalize casino operations. Quoting further, the group emphasized that these demands were not intended to benefit any political group, but rather represent the power of the people aimed at preventing a new government from repeating mistakes and doing long-term harm to the country. The demonstration is set to take place just days before the House of Representatives meeting from Wednesday to Friday to select a new prime minister. So one, understand no matter what's going on here, and I've talked about the possibility of an Anutin-led government. There's, People Party seems to have their desires and conditions as part of votes that would be cast in favor of whatever new government comes in. None of this really is a lock, if you will, until this thing gets into Parliament and we see the actual vote and how this actually shakes out. So a lot can happen between now and then, so just sort of be prepared for that. Now that said, I think it's pretty unlikely to presume that this new government, which presumably is only going to last for about 4 months, and for those who are interested, I get into a deep dive analysis and all of this stuff in our paid news service. For those who are interested in that information, you can email us, media@integrity-legal.com, and we get into information and insight about how all of this political machinations may impact expat land, including how it may impact folks in terms of tax, banking, visas and immigration, etc. So if you're interested in that kind of analysis in longer form framework content, please feel free to email us, media@integrity-legal.com. Also worth pointing out while I have a minute here, my better half and I did set up a restaurant here in downtown Bangkok, Pancake Palace, breakfast anytime, as well as American diner style food. Links in the description below if you're interested. Come on by and see us. Now that said, going back to this though, it's important to point out one, none of this is really going to fully shake out until we get into the parliamentary session. But I think it's safe to presume that if there's already demonstrators on the streets against casino gambling, and I brought this up with regard to the notion of 99-year leasing as well, if there's already demonstrations on the street with regard to that, it's pretty safe to presume that a government that's likely to only be there for probably about 4 or 5 months at a maximum, because either one of the parties that ultimately gets to coalition with People Party, if that ultimately ends up being the coalition, people are also dismissing the idea that Bumjai Thai and Phua Thai could get back together again. I think it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. That said, whoever presumably coalitions with People Party has to stipulate to the notion of dissolving the government somewhere around about the turn of the year. That seems to be one of their key core demands. So whatever comes in is only going to be around for like 90, 120 days at max. And then we're going to have new elections and then we're going to move on from there. And exactly how that plays out remains to be seen. I just find it very unlikely that any government coming in, whether it's amenable to casinos or not, is going to want to spend a great deal of political capital trying to ram that type of thing through, especially where, there's already been opposition to the casino bill from many different parties and many different sectors. I don't see it overly likely that in an upcoming parliament, especially one that's sort of cobbled together with a very loose coalition, is going to want to push through particularly controversial legislation. I mean, let's be clear. Pheu Thai had to pull this off of the agenda a few times, even going back to when they had a really substantial majority before Boom Jai Thai pulled out of the coalition. So I think that's important to point out. So folks that are thinking casino legalization could be coming, I think that's unlikely. Meanwhile, remains to be seen what happens on poker. As I've discussed in other videos, Phumtham Wechayachai, currently the Interior Minister, albeit in a caretaker role as well as caretaker Prime Minister, did do some things that would seem to put a path, or put the country on a path to having legalized poker more or less in a sporting capacity. So that's an interesting one. And how that plays out remains to be seen. Now, I've made my feelings on Mr. Phumtham well known, but credit where credit is due. I've said before and I'll say it again, I think poker could be a good thing for Thailand. Casinos, as I've discussed in other videos, I'm not convinced of. But poker, yeah, I do think that could be something that Thailand could overall benefit from without all of the underlying problems that come from casino gambling itself. That said, how this plays out remains to be seen, but we'll certainly be keeping you updated on this channel as the situation evolves.